A politics midweek update, folks. I'm just going to tell you, I've told you before, you can read the Post, the Star, the East Coast interest group Democrat people. You can read NPR. You can read whatever you want, or you could just watch me predict the future. You don't want to wait until things happen. You just want to come to your man, the only German American fortune teller in America, and I'll just tell you what's up. It's so much easier just to come to one source. Your old hillbilly pal will tell you what's going to happen before it happens. Oftentimes, he'll pull from his stein of knowledge, as I do will right now. By the way, thank you to Russ Oliver, my good buddy. Appreciate you, pal. This is one of my favorite signs I've ever gotten. Thank you. Seriously. But let me pull from my stein of knowledge. That's good. When I say who won the week, did I wait until this week? No. Why would I? Why would your old German American visionary pal wait? I said Dean and Rebecca Plocker won the week because they were vindicated. And by God, Kelton, did it even take a full day? Did Monday even end?
Just barely.
I mean, it didn't end. It did not end. I didn't need a week from the time that aired until I was totally proven right on all counts. Let's just start from the beginning about the vindication of Dean Plocker, as I predicted here, as I predicted in many places. Again, you can read the liberals. You can read the other liberals from Kansas City. You read the other liberals from St. Louis, or you read the other liberals from Columbia, or you could just trust your old hillbilly pal. So this thing started as look. I firmly believe when an elected official files a complaint, it's their duty to look into it. As this 9-page report of justifying all this money. So it started off with, hey, will Dean just resign? He's like, no. So fair enough. So then at some point in this, Hannah Kelly went from a very nice person who's trying to find who's trying to find out what's up, to totally being a staffer to the staffers, to 100% nothing mattered except getting Dean. Now, why, whatever, even her dear friends, and I consider her a friend, and she sent me a very nice text the other last week. I even those folks are like, oh my God, something's wrong. Well, I would say they had a caucus meeting in December, like they are right now. At the caucus meeting, you had your folks running for higher office that want attention, call for him to resign. Totally what happens. If Dean Plocker was in their shoes, he'd do the same thing. Any good politician, you get a little Facebook bump, you get a few likes or something if you say the guy should resign. There you go. The caucus, they said, no, we're going to let this process work out, but we should have it wrapped up by session. There was $4,000 in expenses, right? $4,000. Then the clown show started. The clown show began, and at some point, they decided to go from, hey, this is a committee that does serious things, to just a clown show. Just a total clown show. And I could tell it was heading towards clowndom when you got to February and they'd done nothing. Now they'd had 5 months to look into this. By then, I think everybody knew that the distraction that the staff and Hannah and the Independent made up about the software was just a distraction. It was just a means to get at Dean Plocker, which totally, that's politics. Look, the Independent doesn't really lie. I think people that say they're fake news, or that, I don't view it that way. They are an East Coast funded liberal interest group here to take scalps. And they found a willing accomplice in the House staff and the chair of the ethics committee to help them try to take a scalp, which would be, they could take and hold. Remember when Kathy Griffin held the Donald Trump thing up? That's what they wanted to do to Dean Plocker. Dean Plocker has been the number one opponent of these same East Coast groups that fund the Independent coming in and funding IPs. Did they lie? No, they didn't. But if you want to see the bias, we're going to lay it out here. So then they hired a lawyer. I've never heard of this lady. I'm sure she's wonderful. But it was I skimmed this report. This is what they do. And you all know, if you actually watch this, I'll call a Republican out just as fast as a Democrat. I have a bias towards serious people. Is actually my partisan bias is toward people that do things seriously. Which is why LOL House is said more than once. But they come in and they hire this lawyer, and where it's Donald Trump, or if it's a Republican, if it's a conservative that they don't like, they investigate you. They investigate the piss out of you. And then what happens? If they find something, Kelton, what happens? You're guilty and you're a bad guy, right?
Sure seems like that.
And if they don't find something, it's, well, you obstructed and hid it, right? No, you either found evidence or you didn't. This is what liberals do to Trump, to Plucker, to anybody they can. This is what the FBI does. This is what the Justice Department does. This is what they do. They try, if they don't find something, then you're guilty of obstructing something, right? If they can't get you, throw Wiley Price in there. If they can't get you on the thing they're investigating you for, they try to say, well, you obstructed the investigation. You did something bad and we know it, and we're just going to knuckle you under. Good for Donald Trump for saying hell no. Good for Dean Blocker for saying hell no. I smelled bullshit in this. At the beginning, it wasn't bullshit. It's like, hey, I don't see a lot here, but we'll see what happens. I started to smell bullshit in January. We taped these, right? Kelton, they're on the internet, right? They can go back and watch these.
Every single one of them.
Your old hillbilly pal back in January smelled bullshit. He's never wrong. He's just never wrong. Kelton, is the Stein of Knowledge ever wrong? Is it ever wrong?
Never, ever.
Is it ever wrong? The Stein of Knowledge, Kelton, is it a factual statement, as God is my witness to say? The Stein of Knowledge has been wrong the exact number of times Ollie Marmol has won a World Series.
That would be 0.
0. That's how many times it's been wrong. Why does anybody at this point, honestly, I swear, just come to me. I'll read your tail cards or whatever. I'll tell you what's going to happen. You don't even need to watch. You just need to watch this show. I'll just tell you what's up. So then they hire the lawyer. And then, of course, we have it starts again. Let's let it play. I picked this particular circus music just for my man John Compass, if you want the truth. This, I'll tell you where I got the circus music. I'll give you where it actually came from later. So then they go through February. It turns into March. This lawyer, I find out, gets billed. The thing about me that went from, all right, Dean Plocker's a politician. Politicians get attacked. It is what it is. Hannah's a politician. Dean's a politician. The staff just wants to do their own thing and not be bothered by any elected officials. Everybody kind of had their role. Then they started calling people in. And it was specifically just to hurt them. There was no other reason. They called them into this committee just to hurt them. And I'm like, okay, they're not elected officials. They aren't running for anything. You just want to hurt people. That's where I was like, I don't think the Hannah Kelly I know would do this. I think she was desperate. I think she wanted to perform. She wanted to get a win for the staffers. That's what she wanted to do. So what happens? After that night of just idiocy, I mean, you want to talk about clown show. That night, major clown show. Clown show DEFCON 10. They drag people in who aren't elected officials, have nothing to do with this. And and what they do is they leak out the information to the Post-Dispatch. And the staff that's leaking it, Kurt Erickson's a professional. You say what you want. Does he have a liberal bias as reporting? I think that's a fair thing you could say. Kurt doesn't lie. Kurt is if Kurt gave you a scoop, if you went to Kurt Erickson, now I'm assuming this is my assumption. Call him up and say, I got a scoop for you. This is a legit scoop. He'd say, thank you. He'd say, I want an embargo until the meeting starts. I'm sure he would agree to that. If he did agree, he'd keep his word. I don't think you have to worry about him lying to you if you're giving information. They didn't even care enough to ask him to embargo until the meeting started. They leaked these guys' names out so Kurt could do what a liberal is going to do. He goes and writes every bad thing they ever did to try to malign them and malign the process and try to get at Dean. They didn't even ask him to embargo it. And I'll tell you what that is. When you don't respect the leader and you don't respect the mission, I get leaks all the time, Kelton. How do you think this Stein of Knowledge is so damn right all the time, Kelton? It's because of leaks. It's because of leaks. And I'm going to tell you how where I know to look for leaks. Let your old hillbilly pal tell you where to look for leaks. First of all, I listen for the music. And when I hear the music, I hear it, Kelton. I hear the clown show. I hear the circus. That's where the leaks are. And you know why? Because serious people that do this, if they respect the leader and they respect the mission, they respect him not to leak. And when they don't respect the leader and they don't respect the mission, then clown show. Clown show. You want to know why this thing has been so leaky on every side? People don't respect the leader and they don't respect what they're doing. The staff was out to get him from the start. Dean's side thought this was going to be like a serious thing with serious people following rules. It was none of that. It was never any of that. This was out to get him from the very beginning. And again, my thought was, well, you're a politician. I mean, hell, whatever. But when you start dragging other people in, come on. Sad, ridiculous, unfortunate, unnecessary. But if you're the caucus, you just let it go on because what do you care, right? It's not, Dean can take the lumps. It doesn't matter to you. So you let this process go on. And then it was 2 weeks ago, I think Wednesday, they call in just other people from out of the blue. And they just so they can feed their names to the postage badge, just so they can be maligned. No value to anything, just simply to attack them. Not elected officials, not Dean. They had nothing to do with his expense account. One guy didn't even work there during the expense thing. They try to go outside the lines and bring other stuff in this investigation. Imagine Republicans mad about workers not having enough rights in the workplace. Kelton, is there a pot and a kettle laughing harder anywhere in the world? They spent 20 years rolling back. Doug will tell you, they spent 20 years, right or wrong, rolling back workplace protections for employees. Have they not?
Missouri is an at-will employment state.
20 years. And I think a lot of that was good if you want the truth. But then you want to say, oh, wait a minute, you can't fire someone for whatever you want. That's been the premise of the Republican Party since Jay Ashcroft's father. So then it got real dumb. And I don't know. I like to tell you my facts, and I'll tell you, I'm 90% sure a version of this happened because keep in mind, obviously, ask the posted badge. This is all confidential and closed door. And if you're listening, I'm using air quotes like Dr. Evil because that's all bullshit. None of that is. Nobody took when the staff leaked this stuff from the jump. This was their whole goal, was to get these stories. So they go to the folks most eager to write these stories, which would be the folks paid to malign a Republican. So then you take a step back and you see the other side. When people just thought this was total, when other folks besides me could hear the music, then they just didn't care. They just didn't care anymore. And I get it. I've done a lot of these. It is what it is. When I hear the clown show, I no longer, I know that everybody's gonna leak. So a member of the committee, after the three guys get drug in, just to be pilloried, a member of the committee says, okay, I'm ready to make a motion to dismiss this. This has gone on too long. This has been too incompetently done. And again, in my view, I'll tell you this. If you believe because Dean Plocker messed up his expenses, he should be expelled from the House. Totally get it. Totally get it. You got elected in Trenton, Dexter, Nixa, Pineville, suburbs of Kansas City, wherever Doug Ritchie's from. That's your prerogative. It's your right as a legislator. If you want to kick your speaker out, you got elected. Fine. But to do a process where you just try to ruin the whole session, where you drag in other people, it's bullshit. Even the people that thought Dean should resign at some point were like, okay, this is just ridiculous. So let me read you a few. So last night, they had meetings all week last week. God knows what they even did. They finally decided, okay, we're not gonna. I think Hannah or the staff or whoever's doing the planning behind that realized, okay, we're not going to be able to run Dean Plocker off. That was apparent to everybody. It was apparent to you if you listened to Wake Up in Missouri the first day this came out. I told you that. again, it's just never wrong. It's the Stein is just never wrong. Kelton, is the Stein ever wrong?
Never, ever.
It's just never wrong. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed sometimes by the accuracy of the Stein. I really think one day I should get something wrong just to prove I'm human. Just to prove I'm not 100% German. I mean, so then they meet. So Thursday, everybody in town's like, it's going to be over Thursday. It's going to be over Thursday. It's going to be over Thursday. They fight over like little words. So Hannah wants to put everything in there. She wants to say Dean did the Lindbergh kidnapping. He was on the grassy knoll shooting Kennedy. He secretly bought a bunch of software to shove in a computer somewhere. And the committee's like, well, we have no evidence for that. We have no evidence for that. And she's like, no, but we should be in there. And it's like, well, you probably should have some evidence, right? I mean, there are some people on this committee that actually care about what the House looks like. Apparently 6. And then at some point, a gentleman has to step off the committee. He's got some family issues, very legitimate health concerns for his family. And this is a taxing situation. And look, that's no secret. Not a lot of laws are coming out of that General Assembly. This is one of the reasons why. It's not just, you want to blame Bill Eigel. No. Blame Hannah Kelly. The two of them. If you want to start blaming people for stuff not happening or crediting them, hell, you might credit them for stuff not happening. I've always thought it's better when the legislature passes a few bills. So they put a new guy on. She wants a guy that is just going to throw bombs and be her friend. The pro tem, who's actually the acting speaker in this, puts another guy that doesn't have an axe to grind. He's just in this to do what he needs to do. So they meet all week last week, every night over a little chintzy. These committee members literally are about to mutiny. They can't come to an agreement on Thursday. A couple of guys, I think guy with the Royals game, so I was like, look, this again, when the people in the process do not respect the leader and they do not respect the process, you get the monkeys, you get the clowns, you get the bearded ladies, you get the axe throwing guy, the person swallows the sword. When you have a circus, you get the clowns. In this case, Doink the Clown. And so last night, everything just came to a full head. I think Hannah had understood, or the staff that's doing the planning for this realized, okay, we're not getting rid of Dean. We're not going to censure Dean. And honestly, they probably could have got some of those things done if they'd have come out in December and said, here's our ruling. I think that some of this stuff could have been, but when it was just so clownish, they lost their ability to make that happen. So they go have a meeting yesterday. And I think there's 8 people sick of this bullshit. Like, sick. Imagine if your entire session, you were having to sit and listen to somebody with no facts try to bang on a guy who you might not even like. The Democrats don't even really like Dean. But it's like, it's just so clownish that you have to sit and roll your eyes for hours every night, ruining your session. So they come up this meeting, and she has a report. Oh, David Steelman goes and Wake Up in Missouri and just lights the world on fire. If you're not listening to Wake Up in Missouri, you're not that well informed about Missouri politics. Steelman goes on the radio Friday and So Hannah uses as her excuse. She has a meeting. All these meetings have been closed door, confidential meetings. Again, bullshit and bullshit meetings. None of it's confidential. None of it's closed door. It's all horseshit. Who's leaking the stuff, the anti-Dean stuff? The same people that are telling you this is all confidential. It's all bullshit. So then she comes out, hands this report that she's written up, right? She wrote up a report that says Dean Plocker is the worst scumbag of all time. Tells the committee, of course, is like, okay, they're reading through this. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of committee members that were like, well, this is generally close enough. The truth is they just want it over. They don't even care anymore. They just want it over. They were willing to put things in there that were very questionable because they're so eager to get. And Hannah, I think, would do this every night to the end of session if she could get Dean. I think she would show up and have a 3-hour meeting every night if she at the end of it could get Dean. But most people are like, this sucks. This is a worthless amount of time. This is a worthless endeavor. So anyhow, it gets down to she's like, well, this is the report. So they want to make an amendment, as you do all the time. No amendments. It's in public session. She hands it to the press so she can get her narrative out there to slander Dean. And it says vote on it. And the committee, in the most amazing thing, at this point, when she walks in, I really don't know how the music didn't play. When she walked in and said, here's the complaint or the report. I've worked hard on this. I've toiled and toiled. We really know the staff has toiled and try to get rid of Dean. And now I think the staff's different. Now they want to weaken Dean so Dean can't fire their ass, I think is what a lot of this is. So then she says, here's the report. You can't change it. I'm the queen. You're the peasants. And then of the damnedest thing, Robbie Sauls. Robbie Sauls is one of the more thoughtful people in the legislature. I've always thought Robbie Sauls was you see the partisan hacks just kissing ass on Twitter, and you're like, oh, God, that's not him. But somehow in this process, he became partisan hack Robbie. I don't get it. And then, so he's in with the chairwoman, which he may have it's so out of character for him to just be partisan hack Robbie. There's got to be another explanation for that. Seriously, it is so far out of character for him to just say, yeah, I don't care about facts. I'll just slander this guy because he's Republican. I don't really know. I don't know if Dean pissed on his boots or something. I really don't know. Robbie Sauls is actually a good dude. I have no idea how he got pot committed to this train wreck. He's a lawyer too. He's a lawyer. So anyhow, if you're a Democrat, and Robbie's kind of been your ranking member on this, I know he's not the actual ranking member, but I think because Jerome was going to run for lieutenant governor for a minute, Robbie's kind of been helping coordinate this. I think Jerome's back on now. Nobody wants to be on this thing anymore. Nobody, except Hannah, who I think is gleeful to be here and have all the meetings you can. So Robbie comes in. If you're a Democrat and you show up to this hearing and you get here's the report, you're going to vote for this. And you're Marlene Terry. I don't know that you're that happy with Robbie Sauls today. What kind of silly bullshit is that? If you're Jerome Barnes, you watch Robbie come in here and make a fool of himself. It's head scratching, right? It's bizarre. I'm going to ask, and because of course, but obviously this is closed door and highly confidential bullshit. I'm going to ask him, well, what were you thinking, man? What the hell? I've just never known this side just blatantly partisan, incompetent Robbie Sauls. I've always known competent, fair, good legislator. To know the truth, Robbie Sauls. This is a new dude. This is a new Hannah. Maybe the ethics committee screws with your mind. This is maybe a lesson. If you're Kathy Jo Loy, and you happen to be bored enough to watch this, and you're going to be in the House in January, and they ask you to be on ethics, pull the fire alarm and run out. It does something to your head. It messes with your mind somehow. Flat Dog, you would never be on ethics. I know you. You're too smart for that. Don't ever be on ethics. Just tell them no. Tell them hell no. Tell them I'll serve on urban issues. Anything but ethics. Don't want ethics. When they hand out those forms, they hand out to all the folks at in November, they send you a form. Most speakers do and say, what committees, what's your top pick? I would just I would get a big marker, a red one, and say, not ethics. That's it. I would just don't put me on ethics. It messes with these people's minds. So Robbie goes along with this silly scam. So finally, the other committee members are like, wait a minute. No, I'm not supporting this. This has stuff in here with no evidence. I'm not for this. But really, at this point, the staff through Hannah just wanted to put it in the media so they could write and attack Dean. They've realized it's truly the point where they know they can't win. So now they're trying to kamikaze. It is everything awful about the ethics process. It is everything you should want to avoid. Steelman had some quote from some asshole in England about everything degenerates in secrecy. Wow. I mean, the asshole in England was right about this. It got into, at this point, the committee revolts on the chairwoman, and you could just hear the clown show. Let's let it listen. I mean, what an absolute clown show. So then coming out of this meeting where her report goes down 6-2 and one voted present, her and Robbie voted for it. One committee member, I actually, I don't mean to be telling it to school. I saw Mike McGrill with I believe it was his daughter, having dinner over at Madison's. I was surprised because I thought he was in this hearing, but I was actually coming back to host this thing for Cliff. And I saw Mike walking in over there. I assume he just had that commitment. And again, would you cancel dinner with your daughter over this clown show? No. So 6-2 with one abstention. Then coming out last night, the abstention was weird, right? Voted present or whatever. It's a House member thing where they vote present. I don't really understand it totally. Cindy Courtway, who is running for Senate, who has a pretty good legislative record. I mean, she's done a lot on ports, and she's actually known as a pretty serious person. She put out this statement, and the backstory on this is she's pretty well supported Hannah the whole time, right? She's pretty well supported Hannah. They're very dear. They're very, very close personal friends. And she's kind of went with her on all this goofy stuff. This is her statement. A draft report from the Ethics Committee staff was made public last night. The report did not accurately reflect the record of the committee investigation. See, I always thought the lawyer would be fine. You lawyers always find a way to land on your feet. The lawyer may be the one who takes the brunt of this. I had a really good interaction with a dude named Brian Stevens, I think, on my Sunshine request. He actually was super thorough, super professional. But he may have got – look, already people are looking to throw heat and throw off. If I'm him, I'm worried that I've been doing what I was told this whole time, and I may be the one that gets stuck here. So after a draft report from the Ethics Committee staff was made public last night, the report did not accurately reflect the record of the committee investigation. I disagreed having a vote that made public a report that was not supported by the majority of the committee. Yeah. I decided to vote present out of respect to the chair. Well, you're the last one, I guess, Robbie, and the independent. I decided to vote president out of respect to the chair, and I could not support the report that had been handed to us. I believe the committee majority. Oh, it's always nice to get phone calls. I always tell people, turn your phone on, don't disturb, and then I go mess it up. Um, I believe the committee majority should write, debate, then adopt a final report before a public release. Yes, if you were approaching this seriously, that's what you would do. If it was a clown show, you would just write your own report, lead to the media out of some silly bullshit, non-even rule, and go on. The final adopted report should reflect and stand alone as a definitive word of this committee and all its members in this matter. The process is going on too long. It needs to come to an end. Now, I don't know if you read the coverage in the Independent or the Star or the Post, which is all the same stuff. I don't know if you actually took this from a person on the committee. I don't know if you'll see this reflected in their stories. Kelton, do you think this quote, which is the most newsmaking quote of the whole night, do you think it's got a chance of making those stories?
Probably not.
So 6-2 to not do this sham. Then you have this quote from one of the best personal friends in the legislature. Again, here we go. It just doesn't stop. The clown show doesn't stop. It is now, I'll be honest with you. Well, I really think so let's look through here. At this point, you have a rogue chairperson who's lost the support of the committee, doing things that there's no one. Even if Dean Plucker slept with your girlfriend, you would not think this is a fair way to treat anyone. You just wouldn't. 7 months of secret leaks, closed door bullshit that your staff tells everyone everything. Then you write a report that has many paragraphs not tied to any fact. Then you put it out publicly so you can get it out there and make the committee vote up or down on it with no amendments, no discussion. Even if you hate Dean Plucker, right? Even if you hate Dean Plucker, you wouldn't treat anyone like this. This is simply a bullshit way to treat people. Just pure and simple fact. So then now, and honestly, this is not anymore on Hannah. Hannah's a nice person. This isn't on the staff. This is on the members of the House. You are embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself. Your institution, you're embarrassing it. If you think Dean Plucker should go, in the name of God, make a motion. This process is a clown show. This is a ridiculous thing. It is on you. So Chad Perkins, younger member, solid dude. He knows a little bit about these kind of bullshit hearings. He sent me a quote. The committee spoke by a 6-2 vote. It seems to me the vast majority of the committee feels that no further action needs to be taken. I believe the issue at this point is over, and we should move forward with the issues regarding infrastructure, education, insurance, and many others. Let's move forward to the people's work. That's politicians speak for. It's a clown show. Move on. Then this is from Dan Houcks, who, if you've ever interviewed Dan Houcks is not the most talkative guy. He's not Bernsketter, but he's out of that Bernsketter mold of bald guys that just Dan doesn't just knock you over with a bunch of talk, right? So when Dan Houcks puts this statement out, it's like it would be like a normal politician screaming F off, basically. This is a quote I just got from Dan Houcks. What we saw last night was no less than political suicide. These quotes will be on our social media feed, right, Kelton? Can you stick them up?
I'm working on it now.
What we saw last night was no less than political suicide. Chairman Kelly, or some would say bureaucrat Kelly, shot, commit this as if it a calf to slaughter. The question is, what's next? Does she and her committee do the right thing and dismiss all claims against the speaker, or remove herself from this committee, or possibly remove herself from the House of Representatives? Just like I told you, the first thing about Dean, I was like, this is not resign information. I don't think this is resign information on Hannah, but Dan does. I myself have known Hannah for the past 8 years. She's a good lady. She means well, but clearly has been led down the wrong path by established bureaucrats in the building. This is truly a travesty for this great state of Missouri. Once again, truly a travesty. I hope Chairwoman Kelly takes a long look in the mirror this morning and thinks about what her longstanding political family would do. What is the right thing to do? As John said in verse 2:11, but anyone who hates a brother or sister is in darkness and walks around in the darkness. They do not know where they are going because the darkness has blinded them. Sometimes it's hard not to be blinded in this beloved building we call a people's house. It's time to do the right thing. Yeah, Kelton post those. However, the best thing is you take a screenshot of them or whatever. I think Dan again maybe coming in a little hot. If you want the truth, in my view. But I'll be honest with you. I don't imagine if it were you, right? Imagine if it were. I got a friend Shelly from the Kansas City area. Imagine if it were Carrie Engel, and 7 months, tens of thousands of dollars spent. And what they do is they leak a report where they say you obstructed things. They pay that lawyer 15 grand for the sole purpose of digging up dirt on Deep Blocker. And all she would dig up on was, I couldn't dig any dirt up, so he must have obstructed me. I, I mean, that's not exactly the calling card for that lawyer, right? I don't think that lawyer is going to put this accomplishment up on our website as ways you should hire her. It's the problem with lawyers. It's okay to say we investigated someone and we just didn't find any proof of anything we could nail them on. It's okay. That's actually takes more courage than throwing bullshit against the wall or claiming, well, he did bad things. I have no proof of it, but it's because he obstructed me. That's just horseshit. So the funny part, and I'll wind this down, is last night was the absolute culmination of an absolute clown show. Um, it is the house is kind of made to do corny stuff. This is an embarrassment. If you're gonna make grandiose claims about caring for the state and all this, mind your own house. You got to get control of this process. If you're a Democrat, why wouldn't you take the funny part is Hannah had a former staff person allege unethical behavior on her. Why wouldn't you file an ethics? I mean, if you're the Democrats, this is the greatest thing for you. It shows a lot of integrity that while it's in their interest to let the Republicans fight with their staff for the next 5 weeks, you had Paula Brown, Jerome Barnes. I mean, you had serious people, Marlene Terry, say, no, this is dumb. This is just dumb. You had 4 Democrats just say, no, this is idiotic. You had John Black, who's an attorney. I mean, again, I actually think if you would have came out early on in January and said, okay, we're going to censure you over your expenses, people would be like, fine, whatever. I don't think Dean had the type of support that was like hardcore on it. But when you just do some, and Dean's a successful lawyer with a beautiful wife and kids. He's not the most sympathetic guy in town and country. I'll be honest with you, because he is successful. But even now, people that hate the guy are like, this sucks. This is not right. So I guess what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, number one, Kelton, what do we learn here? Steinem knowledge is never wrong. Never.
Absolutely.
Never wrong. 100%. Every time you come to me, I'll put on my German hat. I'll drink from my Steinem knowledge, and I'll tell you everything that's going to happen before it happens. You don't need to. You don't need the internet. You don't need papers. You just need to watch me, and I'll tell you, and then right every single time, Kelton. Have you ever seen me drink from this stein and not be spot on every time?
Absolutely not.
Every single time. Every single time. Every time. You know what that Kelton means? It means every time. It means every single time. So the way this will go is, I think, you want to hear the funny thing I just saw? This is so funny. She just canceled the ethics hearing tonight. So I think what they were going to do is, after this clown show was over last night, the adults in the room got together and said, okay, we're going to write a letter and says, Dean, you screwed your expenses up, because Dean did screw his expenses up. You've never heard me say he didn't screw it up. He screwed it up. And then we're going to say, don't do it again. You should be the leader, which he should be. Should this have happened? No. Did Dean mess up? Yes. Just because this has been such a clown show doesn't mean Dean Plogger didn't make a mistake. I think they're going to say, don't do it again. And so and obviously, that after you saw Cindy's quote, I think they have 8-2. Only the person working for the staff, and for some reason, Robbie, I don't get it. I really believe in my gut, there's a reason Robbie did that. I don't know what it could be, but I have a hard time thinking he would just be in for that, right? But we'll see. I just don't see him as the hyper partisan guy or the clown. And at this point in this process, I have a hard time seeing Robbie. There's got to be some reason he would do his fellow Democrats that way. Even if you are a partisan hack guy, Why would you walk in and throw your fellow colleagues under the bus with a gimmick that, how ridiculous? I mean, I know it wasn't his idea to come to the committee, but Bud, when you vote with it, you're signing off on this clown show. I mean, you are. You're right there with the funny nose and the goofy hat and you've got the little water shooting out of your lapel thing. You got the big shoes. It is what it is. But there may be a reason, and if it is, I'll definitely chat with you about it here on the show. Tell you what it was. I just don't know what the hell it could have been. So anyhow, tonight they were the reasonable people were going to end this. They may be ending it at caucus right now. I'm getting a few texts from the caucus meeting that there's some members that are there. They went out to Farm Bureau for a big caucus to kind of talk about HRCC, I guess, and stuff like that. But if I had to guess, there's a couple people that are like, no. We're not pretending there's no problem here. We're not coming to some goof fest. And I saw she canceled ethics before she went out. I don't no idea if she's there. She canceled the ethics committee. They've had an ethics committee hearing every night, Kelton, for like 3 freaking weeks. But they canceled tonight's because she knew she was going to lose. It is close to an abuse of power. I understand you got a personal grudge, I guess. You want to get at Dean. And the problem is there should be a check and a balance there, right? You should have a caucus. It's like, okay, damn it, knock it off. You've maligned this guy for 7 months. We're getting close to 8 now. It is on a Chad Perkins. It is on a Representative Sharp. It is on a Representative Owen to say, damn it, come on now, knock this off. You're using our name and this house's name to further your personal grudge. And if they don't, then they deserve to be maligned along with the people that are letting this happen. It's gone on. If they would have wrapped up with this very thing with a good process, January, early February, I think they could have sent Dean a mean letter or censure him or whatever. Now, I honestly think Dean should file a complaint against them. It's went so far around the world to just such silly bullshit that, I mean, every single thing I've said has been totally proven correct, Kelton. I mean, he was totally vindicated. That's why other people say it like, obviously today everyone's saying Dean's vindicated. But your man says it's Sunday because what's up? Now, the last couple minutes of the show, man, what a tough day for not just me, for you, for all of us. It is a terrible day for the world, for society. The greatest living German American, Gussie Busch. The greatest living American German Whitey Herzog has died. What a terrible day. What a man. What a man. Alvin Doral Whitey Herzog, born in New Athens, Illinois, grew up a Cardinal fan, grew up taking the bus. We could take the little elevated train. I heard Rex Singfield talk about it. Used to be a little that take you to Sportsman's Park. There was a little like trolley or something that I heard Rex Singfield tell the story, but he kind of grew up around there. Whitey Herzog would take that same thing he talked about to the ballpark to watch the Cardinals when he was a kid. Grew up. He actually made the Royals a decent team for a while, which is a damn accomplishment in himself. Then he got the greatest job. He became the leader of the free world. He became the greatest, most important job in the Western Hemisphere. He became the field manager of the St. Louis Cardinals and the GM. Took a team that was languishing and pathetic, turned them around, made them champions in '82. Should have made them champions in '85, but for the terrorist attack. Won the NL pennant in '87. Changed the baseball until steroid. There was a time of baseball in the '70s. Then there was Whitey Herzog. Until steroids, he defined the game for a stretch there. Hall of Famer, one of the greatest living people. He was nice enough to do some events for us at the Missouri Times. There he is in a picture with me and Gussie. It's Gussie's birthday today, but it's going to be a somber one because the world lost one of the great, great, great German-American leaders. Colin, I think we should go out by playing the national anthem. There'll never be another one like Whitey Herzog. There'll never be another one. I want to thank my friends at United Fiber. If you got to watch this, if you've got to watch the updates on the Clown Show, thank United Fiber. If you're coming to town, Kelton, look, don't Hannah Kelly your decision, right? Don't pull a Hannah Kelly. go to the Courtyard by Marriott. You can go over to the Baymont and Hannah Kelly if you want to, right? But Kelton, what if you want to make the decision the right way? If you want to come in smart, if you want to Paula Brown your decision, where do you go?
Well, the Courtyard by Marriott.
Of course you do. Again, folks, we'll let the German national anthem breathe to the White Rat. I don't. If the flags aren't at half mast today, they should be, especially at the German consulate. Kelton, we got to go in the bar and take the flag down halfway. There'll never be another Whitey Herzog. There's no way Marmol should be allowed to manage the game tonight, out of respect to the family, out of respect to America, out of respect to German Americans everywhere. There's no way he should get to manage today. Do you think they'll let him manage tonight?
Unfortunately, I do.
Oh, God. What a dark, dark day. I wish he could have passed an Oktoberfest. That would have been more fitting. You know what I mean? If you'd have had a German American leading the Cardinals in the playoffs in Oktoberfest, I think that's how Whitey would have wanted to win out. But instead, we're in last place and we laugh about it. Somber day. Even though I was totally right about everything I said about the Plucker thing, 100% totally right on every possible mark. You would think I would be happy today and gloating. And you know me, I am not one to brag or call attention to myself. I'm not one, Kelton, to say I told you so. Actually, wait a minute. I am one to say I told you so, and I did. And it usually brings me great joy, but not today, on the day we lost the great Whitey Herzog. Folks, I'm going to go pour me a few out tonight. If you think of it, if you see Gussie Faughn, the Blair Oaks Bomber, today out in Wardsville, tell him happy birthday. It's going to be a tough one. I don't know how I'm going to tell him. It's going to be hard. I'm just going to, if you have advice on how to tell your son about a tragedy, let me know. I don't know how you're telling your kids. Maybe we could also form a support group and how we tell our kids about this. It's not easy. We will get through this. We will get through this somehow. We lost Jack Buck once and the world kept spinning. I don't know how. I guess the voice of God was back home and it made it make sense. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you Sunday, I think, with Dean Blocker for This Week in Missouri.